I got some bad news. I know this beautiful motorcycle, my Transalp 700, beautiful Honda. Bought it to go to Africa with it. But now, because of some bureaucracy, I have to wait until 4 weeks. I have to wait 4 weeks to get my registration. This means that I have to skip Spain. I bought a motorcycle to ride to Morocco. Now I have to fly to Morocco just like another tourist. Oh man, oh man, oh man. This is al-qada wal qadar. This is my destiny. I did my best. I couldn't buy a bike in France. I went to Germany. Bought a bike in Germany, brought it to France to register it. Couldn't register in Germany, so I had to come back to France to register it. Could not do that. Well, technically, I could register it, but I have to wait 4 weeks because the bike is imported. I'm a foreigner. I'm not a resident of France. It's just so stressful. After a whole month of struggle, I have to wait another 4 weeks. So, with that said, I will skip south of France and Spain, and I will report to you directly from Morocco, inshallah. Keep it posted. Keep me in your prayers. We're in Milan, France, on the Seine River. Let's take a look. Just a couple of hours south of Paris, I came to visit the town of Fontainebleau. This is the Palace of Fontainebleau. France has a lot of palaces scattered all over the country where royalty used to come for vacation, and summer houses and all kinds of luxuries. As I was parking my motorcycle, I saw something interesting. There was a Muslim family, had a whole convoy of a wedding party. So the attraction became the wedding party, not the palace itself. So everybody was taking picture of this Muslim sister wearing hijab going through her wedding. This Fontainebleau Palace was built sometimes early in the 12th century. It's early in the morning. Here I am leaving Paris, boarding a flight to Africa, to Morocco. And wish I could have done this on my motorcycle, but this is what boredom looks like on a flight. Early in the morning, just landed in Morocco. 2.5 hours flight from Paris. This is the new terminal, newly built in my city of Fez, and waiting for my family to pick me up. Alright, welcome to Morocco. I am now in my family's house in Morocco, and it's been raining like this for the last couple of days. This is the most rain we have ever seen in this time of the year. But what I want to show you is our neighbor's dog. Her name is Joy, and Joy loves to call the adhan with the mueddin. You can hear, this is Asr time. Listen to the mueddin and to the dog. Joy. You see? The dog stops howling right after the adhan. This dog woke me up this morning, Fajr time. It's amazing. Let's see. Joy! Joy! What's up, Joy? Hey. Look at this beautiful dog. I call it the neighbor's mu'adhin dog. Isn't this amazing? See you later. La ilaha illallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So here we are in the oldest city of Morocco, the city of Fez. And I am inside the walls of the old city to go and show you something very interesting. The first university in the world. Here we go. Let's go down the Medina. Assalamu alaikum. This here is one of the oldest high schools of the city of Fez, and this is the entrance. And as you can see in the walls, they have holes. And you wonder why they have holes all over the walls of the city. Everywhere look, there are holes. These holes are simply nests for birds, so birds can live in there. So the people of Fez had a love story with their bird population. They use these holes to let the birds live. As you enter the old city of Fez, you will notice this fencing all over the street tops, meaning that the entire old city is under shade and there's fountains of water everywhere. There's a lot of markets that you can buy anything you want. Everything is handmade, old artisanal industry. The city of Fez was one of the main centers of business throughout many centuries. You can see here a very tiny streets, as back in the day they didn't have cars or other means of transportation except on foot or mules and horses, and that's why the city streets are very narrow. This is what it looks like to walk through these very old streets. They're old buildings. Makes me feel like we're traveling back in time. Like we'll go centuries back in time. This is a city that is over 1,200 years old. Exactly 1,229 years old. Just amazing. Look at the old building materials. Intricate design, very tight streets. Top of the roof gardens and small little mosques everywhere. That's a small minaret for a small mosque. We'll go back to the main street going down to the markets. Welcome to the oldest leather processing facility in the city of Fez, one of the oldest in the world. This leather processing area used to export leather all over the world. Let's see how they do it. They begin by collecting leathers from farmers, and then they process them through a natural chemical processing system to remove the fur, as we can see here. Then they put them in these big drums to separate them and wash the leathers. Then they take them through some bleaching. Then you have different steps for different purposes. Then they put them through coloring, and from there they dry them under the sun, as you can see in these little huts right there, where they do the drying. Now this facility here was one of the first in the world, as I mentioned before, and they became famous for exporting some of the most expensive leathers, and this is just how it starts. From these leathers they make shoes, belts, wallets, bags, you name it. It's a very labor-intensive work. It's very hard, it's not easy to do. The smell is very intensive, but these workers are used to it. And the gentleman who took me to this terrace was gave me some mint in my hand, some mint branches, so I won't have to smell the strong smell of the processing. And I told him, talk about halal earning. I mean, these guys earn 100% halal money doing this hard labor in the cold. The city of Fez becomes very cold in the winter and very hot in the summer, and that's where your leather comes from in a traditional artisanal manner. Some of the city streets still have the old decoration and architecture. Now imagine you are walking in a city that is 1229 years old, and this is what the streets used to look like. We are walking now right next to the first university in the world. This facility right here is public bathroom. This is for the male area, so you will go in there, for necessities, and they have a fountain in the middle just in case you want to wash up or something. People usually don't do wudu in this area. They do wudu inside of the masajid. As we will see, every masjid has their own wudu fountain. What we're looking at right now is a Sharratin school dormitorium. This is a huge facility where they used to house students who will go to the first university in the world. To have access to these facilities, you have to first have memorized the Quran in whatever village you come from, because this area or this building is dedicated for kids who come from outside of the city of Fez. The students from Fez would sleep in their families' houses, but these facilities are dedicated for those who come from outside or from abroad, just like many scholars who studied here. So the kids will live in these rooms, and they will have their bathrooms, like we see here, the water fountain for wudu, and the bathrooms also. They had their own private rooms, masjid area, and as we will see, some very complicated architecture. Room after room. I just lost count how many rooms are there in this building. Still standing. Gypsum, rock, wood, all in this structure together. So if this tells us something, it tells us about the genius of Islamic architecture and how they were able to build such high quality buildings that could sustain the test of time. Rain, snow, heat, humidity, everything still standing. Notice in such buildings they use high ceilings because it gets really hot in the summer. So the high ceilings are useful so that the hot air will rise up to the ceiling and the cool air remains low. And that's how they keep these rooms cool. We can see some restoration work over there. Old supporting structures with new flooring wood. And same mosaic tile all over. Over 1,000 years old. My God. Yeah. So here we go. This is the fountain in the center. This is the main shaft for air and light. Looking over the masjid area just over there, and look at the intricate woodwork and gypsum standing for over 1,000 years. Just amazing. Only imagine someone living here. This could probably be a teacher's or sheikh's quarters, since it's much nicer than the other rooms. And he has a view looking over the outside. This is the main street, so we're sitting on a room that looks like a bridge, and the other buildings surrounding it. And a fig tree, big fig tree growing between these ancient buildings. This city was so rich that the Fassi people used to decorate the streets in a palace-like style. This is an actual street. Imagine what the houses would look like from inside. These are some of the old streets and how they were designed and tied. In the year 245 Hijri, after the migration of the Prophet ﷺ, a lady named Fatima bint Muhammad al-Fihriya decided to build this masjid and turned it into a university. That was exactly 1,159 years ago. A Muslim lady decided to establish this facility. She was a wealthy woman. She had inherited a lot of money from her father, and who was Muhammad al-Fihri, which is an old family that came from Arabia, and Fihr is one of the great-grandfathers of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and they migrated to Al-Andalus, which is Spain nowadays, and from Al-Andalus their family came to Morocco or Al-Maghrib al-Aqsa. They settled the city of Fes, and since she was a rich lady, one day she came to the masjid called Masjid al-Mashayikh, and she could not find an area where ladies could pray. So she donated the money to build this masjid, and legend says that she fasted the entire time of it took to build the masjid. Now this masjid houses the oldest university in the world. I mean, you go inside the facility, you will find chairs, and if you record or you remember the word chairman in any university, or this is the chair of some science, it started in this building. In many corners or pillars of this building, there were chairs where scholars would sit and teach. So I'm going to turn the camera that way. I'm going to show you. Over there is a chair, and there is a sheikh teaching as we speak. I just couldn't get closer so I wouldn't disturb the lecture. So the Europeans who came to study in this university adopted this concept of chairman, and that's how what was amazing is after the kids graduated this university, or while the students graduated, they will give them make a ceremony for them and give them a gown. They call it Jubbatul Alim, the gown of the scholar. And that's also a tradition that has been adopted into the Western world. And nowadays, all over the world, when you see graduations, they will give them a gown. And many of you who graduated U.S. universities, or will graduate U.S. universities, will wear the gown in the graduation. This is a tradition that started in this very same building that is sitting here for over 1,000 years ago. The city itself is 1,229 years old. Many of these buildings have stood the test of time. Imagine the engineering that the Muslims had back in those days. Imagine the technology that could stand for these many years. I'm taking you with me in a walk through the main hall of the masjid, where prayers are held and also where lectures are given. The reason for that is to show you the magnitude of this facility. I mean, it's just huge. I mean, how much money this woman had given for sadaqah, to build something so big. And subhanallah, everybody who studied there or prayed there, the reward go back to her. May Allah give her rahmah. So let's pay attention to these chairs right here.
So these chairs are the origin of the academic term chair of something. Every 100 foot you will find another chair, and each chair is specialized in a specific subject. Take a look. And each chair has a label. These chairs have been here for centuries. Almost 1,000 years ago, they were teaching Islamic knowledge. They were teaching all kinds of secular sciences, such as mathematics, astronomy, theology. It is the biggest masjid in the city of Fez, in the old city of Fez. Right behind me, there's a lecture taking place. Right there, there's a teacher, sheikh, giving certain lecture, and this was the case everywhere in this facility. See? Right behind. This is an ancient design of a clock that uses the sunlight to decide which time of the day it is. Notice that it has the Arabic digits that are used all over the world today. It was once said that if we don't know our past, we won't be able to know our future. I feel so privileged to have traveled in many places that take me back in time. It feels like that I traveled back in history. As I'm leaving the old city of Fez, I take time to reflect upon the many aspects of culture, industry, art, and especially religion. The city of Fez was a beacon of science and theology throughout the world. Many famous figures and scientists have studied here, and many have contributed to its beauty, its architecture, and its lifestyle. I can't help but reflect and think about all the people who have contributed to this great civilization of Islam all over the world. Cities like this are to be found all over the Muslim world. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless and reward those who have contributed to our civilization. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.